You wake to a light unlike any you have known, pale gold and endlessly soft, and it does not come from a single point in the sky. It pours down from everywhere at once, gentle and diffuse, as though the whole world above you were faintly aglow. You lie still for a moment, watching it shift across the ceiling, and beneath the quiet you feel the slow turning of something vast holding you in place. Then you rise toward the window, and the world beyond the glass stops your breath entirely, filling half the sky, banded in cream and amber and rose, encircled by rings so wide and bright they seem unreal, hangs a planet of impossible beauty. You are not on Earth. You are not even near it. You have woken in orbit around Saturn. You stand and your body settles with a comfortable weight, though you know there is no true ground here, only the steady turning of the habitat that makes a gravity of its own. You step out, and the world opens around you into a curving valley of meadows and groves and bright winding water, rising up and over your head until it vanishes into the soft light running along the axis. And through the long windows that line the valley, always in every direction you turn, hangs Saturn and its rings, so that the whole of daily life unfolds beneath the most magnificent sky any human has ever lived under. You realize the people here have never once stopped seeing it, and yet you suspect they have never quite gotten used to it either. You step onto a path of soft stone, and the air meets you warm and rich and alive, scented with green growing things. You breathe it in, and the wonder catches up with you slowly. This air, this warmth, this whole living valley exists 1 billion miles from the world where humanity began, in a place so cold and so far that the sun is only the brightest of the stars. Everything around you was carried here, or built here, or grown here, by people who refuse to let distance be a wall. The trees are the lungs of this world. The rivers are its veins. And all of it turns in the dark beside a giant holding a small warm spark of earth where no warmth was ever meant to be. A small craft drifts up to meet you, silent as a thought, and you step inside. It lifts and joins a gentle current of others flowing through the open air of the habitat, weaving past one another without ever slowing or touching, guided by a single shared mind. There is no pilot and no waiting. You watch them move with effortless grace, and you understand that the people who built a city around Saturn carried none of the old chaos with them. They left the traffic and the noise and the wasted hours behind on a world 1 billion miles away, and brought only what was worth bringing. The craft carries you toward the habitat's edge, and you discover how a city lives so far from the sun. Beyond the windows, vast pale structures spread into the dark, gathering not sunlight, for the sun is too distant and faint, but drawing energy instead from the great planet itself, from the restless churn of its rings and the fierce magnetic breath that surrounds it. Saturn, you realize, is not merely a view here, it is the hearth. The giant that fills the sky is the very thing that keeps these people warm, and they live beside it the way their distant ancestors once lived beside a fire in the dark. You rise to a wide commons where children have gathered, and you wait for a school and find only wonder. One child shapes a model of Saturn's rings in the air, watching the countless icy fragments wheel and shepherd one another. Another listens to the deep radio song of the planet's storms. There is no teacher above them, no rose, no schedule, only a patient presence guiding each child along the thread of their own curiosity. You understand that learning here is shaped around each young mind, and so it never has to end. And these children are growing up beneath Saturn the way you once grew up beneath an ordinary sky, finding it ordinary and miraculous all at once. You pass people as you go, and you notice their unhurried ease, the absence of the old gnawing worry. You meet the eyes of one who seems no older than 40, and somehow you know they have lived 2 centuries or more, perhaps among the very first ever born this far from the sun. The long life reached even here, to the edge of the known. Bodies are tended quietly and always, so that age became a long open plateau rather than a falling away. If this distant golden world is stirring something in you, a sense of how far we might yet carry the spark of who we are, take a moment to subscribe and journey onward with us. Every world we explore together is a reminder of what waits inside us still. The more of us who dare to imagine it, the closer it draws. Now, let the journey continue. You rise toward the still heart of the habitat, where the spin falls away and you float, and a great window opens onto everything beyond. And the sight undoes you. This city is not alone. Strung around Saturn in a vast and glittering arc hang other habitats, turning slowly against the backdrop of the rings joined by slender threads of light. The first true constellation of human worlds ever built so far from home. Craft move endlessly between them, and beyond them all, the rings stretch away in their unimaginable breadth. A highway of ice and light around which an entire civilization has begun, quietly, to make its home. You drift to the glass and you watch small craft moving out among the rings themselves, gathering ice, the frozen water of the early solar system. And you understand that these rings are not only beautiful, they are a wellspring. From them comes the water of every river in every habitat, the air people breathe, the very substance of life out here. Humanity did not come to Saturn to take a photograph of its beauty. It came because the rings could give life, and it has begun gently to drink from them. You turn then, and far across the dark, you find a pale and tiny point of light, so faint you might have missed it. It is the sun, no larger than a bright star, and somewhere in its glow, too small to see, is Earth. The first home, the cradle, impossibly distant now. People here speak of it with tenderness, though none have ever walked its surface. And you understand the deepest truth of this place. Humanity did not flee the cradle to come here. It grew, and reached, and carried the best of itself outward, until even 1 billion miles of darkness could not keep it from making a home. You return to the turning valley as its soft light dims toward evening, and people gather along the bright water to share food and slow conversation, the great rings shining overhead through the long windows. You find a place on the grass and sit, watching the curve of the world rise above you, glittering with the lights of homes, and beyond it, the eternal gold of Saturn, and it settles over you, the weight of where you are. None of this was promised. Every breath of this warm air, every blade of grass, every drop of water drawn from the rings, every long and gentle life began as something a frightened people once believed impossible. They stood on a single small world, unsure they would even survive their own beginning. And yet here you sit, beneath the rings of Saturn, 1 billion miles from where it all began, alive in the cold and the dark and the wonder. You lean back into the cool grass and look up past the hanging rivers to the great banded planet filling the sky, and a single thought stays with you. This is what we became, when we refuse to let any distance be the end of us. And somewhere in the quiet, you understand that even here, at the edge of the known, the journey is only beginning.